Okay, you do know the fact that Donald Trump has raped multiple women and his wife. Okay, yeah. He's a rapist. He raped his wife and multiple women.
Oh, he raped his wife, really?
And he's on record.
Which wife did he rape exactly?
Ivana.
Oh, he raped Ivana.
I do believe so, yes.
Oh, and what's your evidence for such a claim? Because I have evidence of court documents that Kilmar Garcia beat his wife. Want me to read it?
Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel where the art of debate meets the cool side of commentary. I'm your host, The Performance. Today we'll be checking out a video titled MS-13 Gang Defender Gets Destroyed by Charlie Kirk. Wow, I believe this is going to be another interesting one. Let's check it out. Go.
Hello. First of all, I just want to say I have a lot of respect for you, but obviously we just disagree on a few things. The main thing that I just want to talk about is the issue of immigration. And I personally, I don't think it's a bad thing for America. In fact, I do think that it's an amazing thing for America. But mostly the thing that I'm trying to hit on is like how many immigrants are being persecuted right now, including Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Before you respond, or before I even say anything, I just want to acknowledge the fact. I want to acknowledge the fact that we are right now on stolen land, and that we are on indigenous land, and that we are on original Mexican land right now. And for a lot of you guys that are Latinos for Trump. Personally, me, I am a second-generation Mexican Guatemalan, and I am blessed to have been born in America, although I do not think that Mexicans for Trump should stand for the Latinos in this country. Okay, now I get in.
Wait. So I just want to make sure. I love this stolen land argument.
Okay.
If we stole the land and you're mad about it,
I'm not saying that it's not a better country right now. I'm just saying that right now, especially like the things that we're taught in school, in public education, we're taught about the Alamo and how it was this amazingly patriotic act, though it was literally stealing a base from the Mexicans in their own land. I think that that's kind of the wrong angle to be looking at things, and that's why I really make it a point to notice that I'm on stolen land at all times, especially when we think about things like manifest destiny.
Who did the Mexicans steal the land from?
Actually, the Mexicans were there originally in Texas.
Nope,
because
not correct.
Because
wrong. They stole it from lots of Indian tribes. That's not correct. Thousands of years before, they were Indian tribes. So the Mexicans actually
the Mexicans
stole
were
the land.
originally Mexicans were Aztecs and Mayans. And
Well,
many
some of
other
them, hold on,
indigenous
Texas
people.
was not indigenously Mexican, though.
Mm-hmm.
There was the Cherokee. There were
Okay.
many different Native American tribes there. So Mexico was participating in Manifest Destiny at the behest of the Spanish crown.
Yes, at the behest of the Spanish
so
crown.
at some point, you have to believe in self-determination.
Okay.
If you can win the land, it's yours.
Okay.
That is what built the West.
I can agree
And
with you
so
on that.
instead of
thank you
saying
for,
land acknowledgement, we're on stolen land, you know what you should have? You should have a gratitude acknowledgement. Praise God, I live in America. I'm glad. A gratitude acknowledgement would be nice. But what is your question?
Okay. So my question is, how can we protect American-born Mexican
Well, hold on.
people?
First of all, time out. You said Kilmar Garcia.
Yes.
He's not
So
American-born.
I'm sorry. It's gonna connect to it. It's gonna connect to it. I promise you. Okay. So now that the body cam footage has been released and everything, they were purely basing the idea that he was part of MS-13 on the idea that they had that he was. No, he's not. They're purely basing that on the fact that he had tattoos and the fact that he had 8 men in his car that were going to a construction site. Do you think personally that toothbrushes and toothpaste is purely the only thing that we can go on when to gratify like the idea that somebody is a human trafficker?
Hold on a second. I got a lot of questions here. So let me just say as a side note, the left's fixation on a wife-beating, child-abusing MS-13 foreigner, as if that's the big fight that they want to have, is so morally disgusting with so much suffering having. But no, that's number one. That's a side note. But I want you to explain this to me. What are these tattoos exactly? Is that not an MS-13 gang tattoo?
I've never seen anybody affiliated with MS-13, but I think that it could be a multitude of things.
So what is that? That's marijuana M, smiley face S, cross 1, skull 3.
Okay.
That's MS-13. Number 2,
multiple people,
what was
multiple
Kilmar
people-
Garcia?
multiple people
No, let's
that are
go through the
not-
facts because you brought up the facts. Number 2, what jersey did Kilmar Garcia wear on a routine basis, and what was the significance of it in the Maryland jurisdiction of gang territory?
He wore a Michael Jordan Bulls
Yes,
jersey.
and what is the significance? What gang wears Michael Jordan Chicago Bulls jerseys in the Maryland proper area?
Okay, now to flip that on
MS-13,
now
got
to
it.
flip that,
So
well,
in
not
the
to flip
charging
that onto
document,
you,
and
the fact that I'm wearing a jersey.
you talk
no, the fact that
uninterrupted.
I'm wearing a jersey.
Time
okay.
out.
No.
Time out.
Yes,
you happen to live in LA, living in Dodger. Time out.
Multiple people.
Time out.
White fence, and the Crips
Time
of
out.
this area wear Dodgers jerseys. So do you think that I would be affiliated with white fence in
hold on a
East
second.
LA
It's
here?
called a
No, you can't.
It's accumulation of facts. Let me finish.
You can't bring
Allow
that
me
up because
to.
multiple
I
people
absolutely
wear
can.
multiple jerseys
Allow me
and
to
multiple
finish.
hats. I mean,
Allow
look at
me
these
to
people.
finish.
Look at these people. Look
Allow
at
me
these
to
people that are
finish.
wearing MAGA hats right
Allow
now.
me to
Could I
finish.
say that they're part of a big
Allow
gang?
me to finish.
Could I say that they're part of a big gang?
Allow me to finish. Can I finish?
Yeah, of course.
You have the hand tattoos. You have the fact that he told the judge in 2019, I'm afraid to go back to El Salvador because another
Because
gang
there's
will come
a
after me.
civil
Allow
war.
me to finish
Because
without
there's a
interrupting.
civil war.
Allow me to finish
There's a
without
civil war.
interrupting. Allow me to finish without interrupting. Number 3, he wore the Chicago Bulls, which is a gang affiliation in the Maryland area. Now, if you're in LA wearing a Dodgers jersey, that's one piece of evidence. If you're wearing Bulls gear day after day in the Maryland area, and you have MS-13 affiliated things, and you're telling a judge that you're part of a gang, and your wife has filed declaratory distress relief because you're a wife beater, and then finally the fact he's not an American, he broke into this country, and he does not afford the same rights that Americans are.
I'm sorry, but to sort of put that on you, right? He had a green card.
No, he did not. That is not correct. Wrong. That's not
was
true.
He married? Was
no,
he married?
No,
Was he married to an American citizen?
Does not matter. Time out. The judge. See that you got your facts so wrong. The judge said, "Sir, Mr. Garcia, you will be deported at any time for any reason back to any country. The only country I'm not allowing you to go be deported to was El Salvador."
And why was he deported to El Salvador?
That's the only mistake.
Why was he deported to El Salvador?
Because he was caught up. Time out. It's not that he was deported that it was wrong. It's not that he wasn't part of MS-13.
Well, the fact that he was deported was wrong because he didn't have any due process. Actually,
no, he had the most due process of any illegal in the history of the country.
That's actually incorrect. He's going through it right now while he's in El Salvador. He's going through it right now while he's in El Salvador.
In 2020, he had due process. The judge literally signed an order saying, at any time ICE can come and get you. This is your final warning, Mr. Garcia. They might come. And by the way, I just find it so interesting. You do know the fact he beat his wife, right?
Okay, you do know the fact that Donald Trump has raped multiple women and his wife. Okay, yeah. He's a rapist. He raped his wife and multiple women.
Oh, he raped his wife, really?
And he's on record.
Which wife did he rape exactly?
Ivana.
Oh, he raped Ivana.
I do believe so, yes.
Oh, and what's your evidence for such a claim? Because I have evidence of court documents that Kilmar Garcia beat his wife. Want me to read it? In 2021, Abrego Garcia's wife, Jennifer Vasquez Tura, filed a protective order against him, alleging instances of physical abuse, including being punched repeatedly and scratched. She then filed a second order trying to protect the children from him abusing them on a nearly weekly basis. In 2019, Abrego Garcia was arrested in Maryland alongside other individuals. Authorities claimed repeatedly that were experts saying that the traits of his behavior, his iconography, and his tattoos were MS-13, such as specific clothing and tattoos, citing information from a confidential informant alleging from his gang membership. The judge agreed and signed his deportation order. What is the issue here exactly?
Has he specifically stated that his tattoos were... That's ironic when... Okay. Has he specifically stated that his tattoos were an affiliation of MS-13, or is that being a narrative being controlled by the Trump administration? Because Trump, let me bring this up. Trump did believe that he physically had MS-13 in the interview that literally just aired a few days ago, where he said that he didn't believe that it was photoshopped MS-13 because weed, smiley face, and skull. How are the skull and crossbones and the cross going to be thought of as 1-3?
Well, that's an interesting question. If it wasn't
MS-13, stay high, smile till I die. Stay high, smile till I die.
If it wasn't MS-13. Why did his girlfriend blur out the tattoos on his hand in the recent images they posted together? If there's nothing to hide, why wouldn't she show it for the world?
I mean, yeah, you're actually, that was a good point.
Thank you.
Now, let me just bring that up into I want to.
There's nothing to hide. She'd say, hey, here's the tattoos. That she's blurring them out in all the images. That's kind of weird, isn't it? Nothing to hide. Let it ride.
Yeah. Now, I kind of want to just transition that into the entirety of immigration.
Last
if we
point,
can.
then we got to get to more.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously Trump has floated around the idea of quote unquote deporting homegrowns for the quote most horrible and violent offenders or whatever. So how can we as Americans stop Americans from being persecuted by those, especially ones that aren't of white color? Especially ones that are not of white color, because ICE has repeatedly been on ICE has repeatedly persecuted Mexican Americans and or just Latino Americans for having tattoos and dark skin. How can we prevent people from being that's actually not a lie. That's actually not a lie.
What is your evidence for this?
Multiple articles and multiple
articles
and multiple newsletters that have, multiple news broadcasts that have let us know that ICE is racially profiling
do you
people.
think
My father is obviously not white skinned and has multiple tattoos. How can I make sure that he is not taken?
Is he a legal citizen?
I'm talking about when we get into.
Is he a legal citizen?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course.
Okay, then he's got nothing to worry about.
But I just brought up the fact of the idealization of homegrown, like kicking out.
He's got nothing to worry about then. This is all targeted at illegals that have broken into our country. These are people that have broke into the United States
of
America.
And what makes them inherently bad? Because there's multiple people that overstays their visas,
Because they've cut in line. So you wait in line this entire time to ask a question, nice and patiently. Is it right for someone just to cut in line after you've waited? Other legal immigrants that have waited to come into the United States.
That doesn't really work because we were moved in a specific order. The same thing happens here, where we're moved into a specific order. Other people are prioritized.
Are you allowed to cut in line to come into a country?
I mean, I guess from personal familial experience, my family are all American citizens now that came in illegally. Like I will admit that, like they came in illegally, and my family did the right process. They overstayed their visa. They came on a trip, but they did the right process. Why is it that like we are simply only persecuting those that are like coming in illegally and want to just live a normal life?
It does not matter your intention. Hold on,
everybody's bringing up murderers. Everybody's bringing up rapists.
There's a lot wrong here.
But what's wrong with that is when rape is committed by men, 51% of all rape is committed by white men. White men.
Okay, yes, and guess what?
So why are we pinpointing?
Hold on.
Why are we pinpointing a Mexican from the crowd
you're all
and saying,
over the place
"Oh,
here.
he's a rapist"?
Again, what should the penalty be if someone breaks into America?
I'm sorry.
What should the penalty be when someone breaks into the United States of America?
Personally, I think we should help them get processed into the country.
Help them home. That's the only thing. We should send them back to Nicaragua, Guatemala, Mexico.
The country should become home.
Oh,
especially.
So wait, hold on. I want to understand.
Well,
the more, do you invite random people into your home and be like, "Hey, you could just squat on my floor and eat my food"?
Hey guys, so that's how you make friends, actually. So when you go to a random person, and say, "Hey, come over to my house," what happens?
So you will just go to a random homeless guy shooting up under a bridge and be like, "You're allowed into my home. You're my friend, Jerry."
Why are we comparing a homeless man to somebody in need of
because they both need government services, or they come into your own property or your own domain without invitation.
And I think it is ironic of you to bring up especially Guatemala right now with the thing that just happened in Tucson, Arizona, right? A Guatemalan woman was detained after giving birth. That child is now an American citizen. Why should the mother be sent back and not to help be here to help her child grow?
Yes, they could both be sent back to Guatemala together.
That's not true because the child was born here.
Doesn't matter.
And
you could still be a U.S. citizen and live in Guatemala.
Well, and under the Constitution, it is now an American-born citizen.
That's highly debated. I'm not going to get into that. But anyway.
Why not? Why not?
Because we've already been going for quite a while.
It is now an American citizen. It is now an American citizen and should be
birthright citizenship. I believe is not constitutional, and I hope that they'll overturn it.
Birthright citizenship is not constitutional.
I believe
it's not. Yet the people that, again, going back to what we originally spoke about, the people that came over here were then given birthright citizenship. So that means that everybody here should not have birthright citizenship. It just does not make sense in your opinion. The way that you just stated, that just doesn't make sense. That just does not make sense.
Again, you're talking very fast and not making a lot of sense. So let's try to slow it down, okay? The final moral question.
Okay.
If I went into Mexico without proper documents or invitation, what happens to me?
People do it all the time.
What happens to me?
People do it all the time.
what happens to me?
Are you saying if you get caught? Are you saying
Yeah, if I get caught, what would the Mexican government do to me?
I guess deport you?
We should do the same. Thank you so much.
They do the same because Mexicans do it.
Thank you.
They do the same because Americans do it. Thank you for your time.
Wow, what an interesting debate. There is a proper way to come into a country, get your passport, apply for visa, and when your visa is honored, you can come into the country. I believe coming into a country illegally shows you don't have respect for the country's law. When a system have already been set in place for people to come into the country, breaking the law, coming into the country illegally shows you don't deserve to be in the country. I believe a lot of people are in line waiting for their visa to be honored, but you in particular decide to break the law and come into the country. It means you are not respecting the country's law. And for the guy, the college student is talking about, that he wasn't given due process, I think I watched one of Charlie Kirk's video where he talks that, where he stated the fact that the guy in question has been on trial for 4 years. He has been given due process. And I believe it's the responsibility of the government of America to make a hasty decision on anyone they believe is a threat to the people in the country. And I believe they made those decisions in order to be able to preserve life, in order to be able to protect their own citizen. And I don't see anything bad in that. So even the guy in question is the college student is trying to defend is an illegal immigrant. It's an illegal immigrant. I believe the fact that it's an illegal immigrant shows he has broken the law, shows it does not have respect for the American law. I don't see any reason why you should cut corners to come into a country where when you can come into the right way, because a system has already been in place where you can apply for visa, and if your visa is honored, you can come into the country. Wow, I believe the student in question is totally ignorant, is leaning on ideology instead of reality. So I also love to hear your comment regarding the fact Charlie Kirk have stated in this video. Don't forget, click on the subscribe button, click on the like button. Do have a nice day.